All right, we start now. A friend of mine has asked me to explain the basics of sound design. And I'm not really sure what he means by sound design, but he was interested in knowing how a synthesizer functions, how it works, basically. So, and I think the best, and he asked me how I learned that, and I learned it mostly by modular synthesizers, because here the components are separate and you get a very clear idea of what these single components that are present in most synthesizers, also in plugins and so on, are in hardware synthesizers and polyphonic synthesizers, in digital and analog synthesizers, and also in plugins, or nowadays are composed of these components that you find in not obviously in modular systems. In modular systems you find more modules than a greater variety of synthesizers than in any standard synthesizer, whatever synthesizer that is. So the most common synthesis is the subtractive synthesis, also known as EASTCOAST synthesis. That is based on the principle that you take a wave with rich overtones that is quite bright, and then you filter it. So you make it a little bit duller, or you shape it by a filter. And the basic module for the core module of every subtractive synthesis or EASTCOAST synthesis is an oscillator. That is like the string in a guitar, or the oscillating air in a flute, or the vibrating skin of a drum. That is the thing that produces the basic sound. So let me start with this. It is called VCO. That's called a voltage-controlled oscillator. So it's an oscillator, but it is, as almost everything in a synthesizer, voltage-controlled. So you can control it, but you can control it also by voltage. And what that means, we come to that, what that means in a few minutes. First of all, I show you, this is a basic oscillator module, quite simple, with 4 different common waveforms. That is a sine wave, a triangle wave, a square wave, and a sawtooth wave, a saw wave. So first I plug it in the sine wave oscillator. You see, it's a really dull wave. And in this VCO you can now tune it for bass sounds, or drums, or kick drums, even deeper, and also higher. So that was out of range. So we take this. And you can fine tune it also. So this is the basic wave. Another wave, it's a little bit brighter. There's a little snarling on top. yeah, in comparison. And now this one is really much brighter, has a much more overtones. That's the square wave. And it makes the impression to be higher in pitch, but the pitch is the same. This here is always the same. Only the overtones are more present, and so you think it is higher. So and here's the saw wave with even more overtones. And you almost get the idea of this is that these waveforms are very present, are very common in normal synthesizers. So saw wave, square wave, triangle, and sine. All right. Okay, this is the first component of a synthesizer. So you could make music doing this here now, and then tuning it. Well, that's really annoying. I mean, that's not how you can perform music. Yeah, that's plugging it in, plugging it out, plugging it in, plugging it out, plugging it in, plugging it out. That's really annoying. So what can we do then? What can we do? We have to introduce a second module. So I'll plug it out here because of the annoying sound. So the next module we plug in is a, let's say we take a mixer. The mixer module is like a mixer in real life. It mixes, blends the sounds. What do we do with a mixer? We put in, we can mix two or more waveforms and then go into, finally, into the mixing console. So we have our output here. I will turn that down, crank that down. We take this, the sine wave here, put it in input 1, turning it down. Input 2, we take the saw wave, for instance. Okay. This is all down now, and I will crank this up and fade in this. So this is the sine wave now. And this is the saw wave. So what we can do now is we can mix the two. It's a mixer, obviously we can mix them, and that makes it possible to shape the overtone structure. So this is a very dull sound for a bass, but it might be too dull or too little assertive in the mix, and we could give it a little bit more overtones with this saw wave. Or we can add also a third wave, or square wave. Makes it even louder. Or mix these two, and so on. So now we have a little bit more, we can play a little bit more, and shape our sound more to our taste, only with a mixer. Alright, we turn this down. We turn this down. Okay. Alright, the third module we need now is a so-called, so this is a mixer. So a mixer is an amplifier. And now we add a second amplifier, but that's not a simple amplifier as we know them from our hi-fi amplifier or a guitar amplifier or an amplifier for a big mixing console. It is a VCA, a voltage you already know it, or you already thought we would introduce this one. It is a VCA. And a VCA is a voltage controlled amplifier. So the amplification is the same as the mixer. Just a minute. All right. So, okay. We put the output here, audio out, and we need another cable. I don't know if I have enough cables to do it. Output, and we go into the audio in here. So it is the same. Should be the same as we already had. No, we have to crank up the gain. Oh, all right, there's a loose contact. These are old modules, but never mind, they work quite well, fairly well. All right, if you don't touch them too much. So now we almost have our synthesizer. Now a last module is missing. That is an envelope generator. Now a cable is missing. Cable is missing. Missing cable. This is an envelope, another envelope generator. An envelope generator. So that we want to listen to a music that every once in a while changes. It's not always the same tone. It's not, well, it's a drone music. It's quite nice, but after a while it gets, even if it's analog, and analog means it's not, the sound changes over the time, is changing over the time. It's always changing over the time. Now there's this loose contact changing also. And, but it gets a little bit annoying after a while. All right, so now we introduce our envelope generator. The envelope generator allows us now to control the VCA. So when the tone starts and when lets us control when the tone starts and when it ends. When the sound ends. So it ends when you do this, but that's not a good method to do it. And to do so, I have a keyboard with CV gate outputs. So I take the gate output of the keyboard. Gate, maybe I'll show you what it is. Here's a gate, the gate. Here's my keyboard, the KEYSTEP from ARTURIA, which is really handy. And I connect my gate now with the gate in of this envelope generator. So when I press a key now, you see that in the LED, then this just a minute, then this LED is lit, is lighting. So it means that it opens the envelope, it starts the envelope, and then immediately after that, after I release the key, the envelope is finished. So what I do now is I connect the wrong. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing, the system. Modular systems are not easy. So I connect the output. So the output gives out the control voltage. Start of the tone and sustain of the tone. So let me do this. So first we crank down the gain and we put this into CV1. See that? So, and whenever I press the key now, there's a tone. There's our tone, our mix with this. Now, so I have a sequence here. So now I can explain to you how the ADSR is working. So ADSR is for attack. You see, when it's 0, the attack is short, and the more it is increased, the value is increased, the longer the attack. So the start phase of the tone gets. So instead of dup 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 dup, it does zip zip zip. It gently, the more gently it fades in. So this is the first parameter we can tweak. The second is the sustain. This is the phase of the tone when you hold the key. So let me see. I press the key, hold, and release the key. Press, hold, and release. Press, hold, and release. The fourth parameter is release. This is the time the tone fades, the sound fades out after I have released the key. So press, sustain, so I hold, release. So it fades out gently. That's what I do it. The last parameter I did not explain until now is the decay. This is the phase after the attack. So when the attack is done, then this is the level, this is the time that the tone needs to reach the sustain level. If the sustain level is 0, it sounds a little bit like release, but it's only active when I press the key. So when I release the key very quickly, the decay is very short. See, I released it also. So press, release, no hold. When I hold it, press, hold, press, hold, it fades out more gently. So and this is the sustain level. So it gently falls down to a very low release sustain level now. And now that was the loose contact now. And now there's also the release after the sustain phase has reached. I shorten the decay to release the key. Press, hold, release. Press, hold, release. All right. So this is the basic principle. We are almost here. We could do now a kind of a drum sound already. For this we put in some much high amount of sine wave. So that's not the best kick drum I've ever heard, but you could use it as a kick drum. But what if we needed another pitch? We want to play a melody or something like that. How can we do that? We go back to the VCO, which is our tone generator. You remember that this is not an oscillator. It is a VCO, a voltage controlled oscillator, and the voltage is able to control not only with these knobs here, the range. We can control the pitch of this oscillator, but we can also take for instance, our keyboard. I'll show you the keyboard here, and take the CV out, that is pitch, here, and connect it to the VCO. It's not that easy. The camera, we connect it to the VCO. So we take CV1, I think, yes, CV1. Let's hear how this sounds now. So that's the reason why it was always so low. We put it on 0. On the keyboard I press now keys. That's a C, C octave, C, another octave above. So this is now sounding like a synthesizer, isn't it? So let's see if we can program a little arpeggio. Just a minute. All right. This sounds like the early years of synthesis, isn't it? So this is the pure pulse wave. This is saw wave now. Or sine wave. We can also change from sine to triangle. It's almost like sine, but a little bit more present. So this is the basis of synthesis. So the first synthesizers, not the Minimoo, but some synthesizers before, were using these basic principles. So a VCO, a mixer, a VCO with several different waveforms. Yes, like do it here. Sine, triangle, pulse, and saw. So these are the waves. Triangle and sine. And as you can see, only these simple waveforms sound very different from each other, have big differences, and also how you shape the tone you can produce very different effects with that. So they are already very variable. Okay. So these basic principles are VCO, mixer, VCA, voltage controlled amplifier, and an ADSR unit to control the length of the played note. And last not least, a keyboard or a sequencer. Let's say first of all a keyboard that is sending gates, so start and end impulses to the envelope generator, and pitch information, CV voltage, to the VCO, that the VCO knows what note, so what pitch to play. This is the beginning. Thanks for listening to my channel. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe it, or leave a positive feedback, or a feedback with a comment, things you like to know or want me to explain or to do. Please post your wishes here, your recommendations, and anything else. All right. See you soon on this channel. Goodbye and have a good time. Thank you.